come back to me, babe? Now will you forgive me for the wrong I've done? And let's try again to make it last so long. I'm still waiting for you to come back to love, to fulfill this life we're dreaming of. Don't wait, another day might be too long. Go so nothing goes wrong this way. I can't wait to feel your love again. 'Cause you can stop this pain that I've been feeling. So let's start all over and put the past behind and make love today the test of time. I'm waiting for you to come back to love me, to fulfill this life. Yeah, we're dreaming of experience our progress on. Another day might be enough. Go slow, nothing goes wrong. Another day might be mine. Open wide, go slow. Yeah, I don't have to cry no more. Sometimes I get so lonely, wanna call you, baby. I call you, baby, like I'm ready. It's too late to love, all I need.
What up? How y'all doing?
For the things that you give to me, just take my love, baby, because you are so dear to me. Whatever you want, whatever you need, oh yeah, my heart belongs to you. Whatever you want, baby, whatever you need, oh, there's nothing like. And I'll say whatever you want, baby. I say whatever you want. My heart belongs to you. I say whatever you need. I'll be right here for you. Once in a lifetime, you will find someone like you. And now that I had
Boy, that damn Jodeci, my all-time favorite group. Boy. I'm telling you. Love Jodeci.
come and talk to me, I really want to meet you, girl. I really want to know your name. Oh, come and talk to me, I really want to meet you, girl. I really want to know your name. Oh, yeah. You look so sexy, you really turn me on, blow my mind every time I see your face, girl. You look so sexy, you really turn me so strong. I really want to be you, but I'm kind of scared. Cause you're the kind of lady with so much class. I get my thoughts together for the very next day. But when I see you lady, I forget what I said to you. Your eyes, such a beautiful charm. The way you dress and walk, you really turn me on. Yeah. Ooh, you really turn me on. Come on, come on, come on. Come and talk to me. I really wanna be you. Can I talk to you? I really.
Have one, you can have. Walk through the mall if you like it, you can grab. Total it all up, you put it on my tab, and then tell your friends all the fun.
I love Total too, though. Total was my group, man.
Give me all the chicken heads from Pasadena to Medina. Bet big, get in between your dentures. Hit the prognosis, doses, blends and bends like Twizzlers. Biggest signature hurt what's under that skirt. Who filling them with octane? Got them gassed up, about to get blasted up. So the last one was the mother brother miss him. I seen it when you kissed him at the wake. Made his hot shit. The high guy, 850 eyes, smoke shit, rack terror, full chrome and terror. Street vibe by the rivers, the lips is conspicuous. Bad boy slipped in 95, ridiculous. My rap lines is like landmines. One step, Karoon, black suits fill the room. To whom it may concern you, your mafia is the click. Act up, I have my honey's total rushing. That's right.
In the middle of the day now, baby, I seem to think of.
Hey, boy, Jodeci was that What I'm talking about, Jodeci? I'm talking about Total. Total was bad, boy. I saw them live. They give a good show too.
Kissing you is all that I've been thinking of. Kissing you is don't matter who knows. I don't care who sees me thinking about you makes my life complete. And what I mean by that my whole world changes. You make me feel things that I never felt. I wanna kiss you.
Let's see who know about this. This is the remix right here.
It's so good to be.
Bad boy had it now. Bad boy had it, boy.
You know what I'm saying? Something real. Something real.
That's right.
Straight from the Swab House.
Bad boy.
Representing.
No doubt, baby.
Putting a little soul in here.
LB All-Star.
No one has to ask who be acting bad. A ballin' in that put TV all up in that ass. From Memphis 10 around the world and then back again. Make none rapping with MCs go home practicing. I flip a beers with Larissa, plenty Benjamins. Low key, plenty ends, make plenty friends. Baby, I got all the herbs that I need to cheat. Smoke up a pound and leave you bitch niggas in disbelief. Inhale the smoke and every word I wrote it came out dope. Not like that crack, I been liquid up above tracks. Not saying I won't pull the Ruger and put hollow to ya. Have your mama on her knees screaming hallelujah. Lay it down, play a Swab House bad boy. Fat boy, ain't afraid to rap the tab boy. Matter of fact, boy, this is not a act boy. The player way, keep a player making stacks boy. Everything that I do be all about the loot. I be kicking up dust in my polo boots. Getting blowed on the toe, taking smoke up my nose. I give the world to a woman, but I don't love hoes. I'm a player, baby, and don't you forget, you need to get with it. Let me hit it.
Low key, Bad Boy was a hell of a label, bro. Like, let's. This was it here.
Ain't nobody gonna do my things like you know.
Y'all seen that Tevin Campbell challenge? I think Q killed that shit. Q killed it.
Gonna kiss the way I kiss. Ain't nobody gonna spin the way I spin. Ain't nobody gonna love you like I did. Ain't nobody gonna be there for you. Ain't nobody gonna open up your.
All right. I was about to let that one play. That would take me back there. What's up, man? What's up with y'all? Glad to see y'all here. Hope y'all enjoying y'all beautiful Sunday. And, you know, sometimes every once in a while you get that comment that just irks you. And sometimes the way they type and the things that they say, it kind of gives away a lot about who that individual is, right? Like when someone insults you and calls you names, it's one of two things. The first thing you're going to do when you come on my channel and you hear this Alabama, backwoods Alabama ass accent, you're going to think that I'm stupid and I haven't learned it or however you pronounce it. And I'm not educated. I don't know shit. I'm stupid. And, you know, I'm not the smartest, sharpest crayon in the box. I will admit, you know, I don't ever try to sit here and just say I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm not the smartest person. I know what my IQ is. I know I'm not a stupid person. So, but I'm not the smartest person, right? I try to be a humble guy. We all have, you know, in this day and age, in the social media era, there are going to be people, you're going to brag because that's what people tend to do in this era. They brag and insult and shit like that. And, you know, I'm used to it. You know what I'm saying? People come in the comment section all the time and say a lot of shit about me, man. They just do. Because, look, man, I'm an easy target. Y'all hear this Alabama accent. And, you know, people from Alabama, us country boys, not just Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, the South in general, usually, if you can hear that in our accent, then people tend to equate that to stupidity and ignorance. And nothing could be further from the truth. And so it really kind of sometimes rubs me the wrong way when someone comes in my comment section and tends to want to insult me, and they don't know what the fuck they talking about. So let's get to it, right? So I'm gonna read. I'm first. Let me share my screen. So share screen. Let me just put it. Actually, I'm gonna put this one over here. I'm gonna put this over here by itself and share screen. There we go. Right. So all right, guys. So Danger Disgusto, which is probably not African American. I'm just going to go ahead and go out on a limb. This is probably a white person, probably somebody under the age of 40 that probably went to some college or university and they've been drilled in their heads that capitalism is evil. Usually. Now, that's one option. Or it's either that or they're one of them hotel dusty motherfuckers that hate capitalism. That ain't never built shit, they never ran shit, they never owned shit in their lives, right? But if you want to call me stupid and illiterate, then he's going to try to elude that, act as if I've never read the book Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. By a show of typing one in the chat, who isn't familiar with and at least taking a stab, because the damn book is 900 pages, by the way. So it's a big ass book. Like he probably didn't finish that bitch. It's a big ass book. Now I did take a stab at it. It's actually a fairly easy book to read. Truth be told, I only read about the first 150, 200 pages, but we're talking 20 years ago. So I got lazy, and what I did was I went and bought the unabridged version, a tape deck, mind you. We talking about in 1999, 2000. This was right after I got my first version of the book, what was it? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then I got the second book, which was Cash Flow Quadrant. And he mentioned Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. And he talked about increasing your financial intelligence and all these things. And I was such a fanatic of Robert Kiyosaki and the books and stuff like that, and all the books, Think and Grow Rich, right? These are just basic books. How about No Money Down, right? Robert G. Allen, right? We've all seen, like, you act like you the only motherfucker that can grab a book, right? So you know I'm finna just go in on your ass. Exactly. So you think that I didn't just go get the audio version 20 some odd years ago, probably when your stank ass was in diapers and shitting on yourself and your mama had to wipe your ass? Or you was in elementary school or some shit. You think you forget who you talk. You come in my comment section talking about let me read the comment. Oh shit, this ignorant ass. Let me show you what he typed. Crony capitalism equals capitalism. Now, if I were to look at this situation or this comment in a vacuum, he put capitalism in quotes. Obviously, you didn't listen to my fucking video, because if you listen to my video, crony capitalism is a form of capitalism. Capitalism is in the fucking name, idiot. I knew that. So he put that in capitalism. He said crony capitalism equals capitalism, right? Then he came and he said corporatism is a form of capitalism. Now, we're going to go into all this shit again, like I did in the video above. We're going to go into all these definitions again and make sure that he understands. Now, fascism is basically like a dictatorship where pretty much the government runs everything. Kind of like, I'll say Hugo Chavez is Venezuela. But we'll go there in a second, right? And he thinks that I don't have enough, I guess, understanding. I'm too ignorant and stupid to understand what the fuck I'm reading, right? So he said corporatism is a form of capitalism. Then he said fascism cannot exist without capitalism. Now let me stop right there. He said crony capitalism is capitalism. Then he said corporatism is a form of capitalism. Then he said fascism cannot exist without capitalism. It sounds like to me he thinks capitalism is evil. How about y'all? Right? So he doesn't like capitalism, which tells me one or two, he's a liberal. He's probably a liberal. He believes in socialism and communism, right? And he alludes to a book that his dumb ass probably ain't fucking read, right? Because if you read Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, which I'm finna talk about in a second, the book is pretty much, I'm gonna sum it up for you real simple. The book, Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, can be summed up with this. An individual will do what's in his best interest. That is the best economic system, because you can allow people to do what's in their best interest. The government should operate as a referee. That's it. Wealth of Nations summed it up. Did I not? Anybody that read the book? If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. So I know what the fuck he's talking about. So here we go. He says, problem number one, you are illiterate. And you do not understand what the term capitalism refers to. So you know what? In the book, and he said I'm illiterate and I don't understand. So let's see what he means by illiterate. What does illiterate mean? Let's go. Because I hate when motherfuckers use words and try to insult people and tell me I don't know how to read. Now, I understand. I thought I knew how to read. Maybe I don't. Shit. I thought I knew how to read. Maybe I don't. You know what I'm saying? Illiterate. Unable to read or write. I think I'm kind of disproving that right now. Right? Okay. At least the first part, right? I at least can read. You know, I can write too. Shit. All right. Ignorant in a particular subject or activity. Now, ignorant would imply that I didn't go and look up the exact definitions of what these words were. And if I look at the definition and you don't like what the definition says, and because I explained, let me go ahead and just cut to the chase. Y'all know why he said this? This is probably a white liberal that doesn't like the fact that a black man thinks the way he thinks, the way I think. They don't like, let me explain something to you. White liberals hate it when black people, especially black men, that don't kiss their fucking ass and are useful fucking idiots, for them to push their weak ass, stupid, backwards, anti-family, anti-God ass ideologies on people. And when I come out and I say something that they don't like, and they're not able to use me, they call me names, they insult me and bullshit like that. But I got your number. Now, I'd have replied to this motherfucker about 4 or 5 times. For some strange reason, Every time I come back to it, it's gone. I don't know, right? So, and like I said, he said, you are illiterate and you do not understand what the term capitalism refers to. Let's look up the term capitalism then. Shit, what is he talking about? An economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state. What do I not understand about that shit? Is that hard to understand? On my channel, we go straight to the definitions of words and we just explain what they mean. Now, you want to add some shit to it. What you want to add is, well, capitalism is bad because da-da-da-da-da. And when you start going out of that frame, what you're getting into is a lot of times a form of capitalism called crony capitalism or even fascism, which we're going to get into in a second, right? Let's go back to what else he said. He says that requires you to read the likes of Adam Smith. Now, like I just said, guys, that's some old shit. Like, you think that the first time I ever heard of this book was in Rich Dad Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. I think it was I got all this shit. I got all of the Rich Dad Poor Dad books. Shoot me, right? Think and Grow. We're not Think and Grow Rich. Retire Young, Retire Rich. Rich Kid, Smart Kid. The real estate book he did with that Sharon Lecter, the author. That one, I think it was another lady. It was a real estate lawyer attorney he did one with. Corporations, capital, why it's best to get a corporate, all that shit, man. You name it, I got all of it. Soaked it up. It's in my soul. That's what I soaked it up. Damn near memorized it, right? And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Cash Flow Quadrant, the second installment of that book, where he basically went out and talked about Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations and how he basically explained capitalism is the best form of government because it allows us as individuals to choose how we want to operate for our own best interests. Whereas what the flaw in other government systems, and I just my personal opinion, is that you are trusting that someone else is going to take your best interest at heart when they make their decisions. Like a business, me being a business owner, right? I'm trying to make certain decisions for my business. I can make those decisions a lot better than if I had to go to some centralized government bureaucrat or system whereby they were able to make the decisions for me. Now, if I'm illiterate, somebody help me out. If I'm ignorant, because illiterate can also mean ignorant. If I'm ignorant in a particular subject, or can you tell me why I'm ignorant? Can somebody explain why? Does that make sense? Now, it's not like I'm the only one saying this. I'm not the only one saying this. So does Milton Friedman. So does Thomas Sowell. So have countless economists before me. I'm not an economist, by the way. I'm just saying. Before I even said this shit, this ain't just some shit I'm pulling out my ass. Ayn Rand comes to mind, right? I think she's a anarcho-capitalist. I'm not sure. But anyway, he said problem number 2, you are desperate to construct a narrative in which your precious belief about economic systems are entirely upheld. He said, I'm desperate. I really believe this shit I'm saying. I'm not desperate. I'm not fabricating this. Do I sound desperate? Or do I just sound like a motherfucker having fun in his basement trying to roast a dumb motherfucker? That's really what I am. I'm sorry, right? I'm just sitting on here on a Sunday. I said, let me roast this nigga right quick. He come in my comments calling me an idiot. Basically, in so many words, you're pathetic, all that shit. You're desperate and pathetic, but ultimately you are ignorant. I mean, illiterate. Like, okay, I got you. The polar opposite of objective and critical. Okay, that's an incomplete sentence, by the way. You need to, you want to, so if that's just a simple incomplete sentence, Mr. Literate motherfucker. If you're gonna come in my comment section and insult me, make sure that you use proper grammar, or I'm gonna drag your ass. Just motherfucker, you got wrong. You can't even. This is what do you mean the polar opposite of objective and critical? What's the subject of this sentence? Is there? Well, the polar opposite. Okay, what is the verb in this sentence? Since you so damn eloquent and educated, right? I don't usually be that petty, like, cause we all make mistakes when we type, right? But just since you want to call me ignorant, I gotta go back at you. I'm pathetic. Like, you know my life, like you follow me around. Now I'm just a pathetic person because you think that I'm desperate because I'm trying to construct a narrative in which my precious beliefs about economic systems are entirely upheld. At the end of the day, I think this, man. I think a person can make a comment about what they think is the best system. You disagree. Come in the comment section and tell me why you disagree, brother. This is why I disagree. Da 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 da. It's the point. Point one. Don't just call me illiterate. Don't just insult me and call me ignorant as if these aren't. If I'm illiterate, so is Google. I didn't say anything. Now let's get on to this fascism thing. Let's get on to it. Fascism cannot exist without capitalism. Let's go here. And let's go to I think, which one was it I looked at? I think it was this one. I think Mussolini was the guy that coined. Let me see if I can go back. Sometimes you got to play the petty game back with opposite side. I got to. And that's why I did that. Like, I'm going to be an asshole since your shit ain't just perfect. You better have your shit flawless. You calling me stupid. Like, you just got to. I'm sorry. You're going to insult me. Then your shit better be crisp, right? So here we go. Fascism is a system of government led by a dictator who typically rules by forcefully and often violently suppressing opposition and criticism, controlling all industry and commerce, and promoting nationalism and often racism. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that doesn't seem. Does that sound like does fascism sound like capitalism? He's saying you can't have a capitalism because it's fast. How does he? I guess so. What's happened is he's probably went to some college and some white small hat liberal, professor and sat there and explained to him and fucked him up in the head, right? And see, the problem is ignorant motherfuckers like this have voting rights. Ignorant motherfuckers like this teach in schools. Ignorant motherfuckers like this work in businesses and have a certain mentality, right? That it just is, and they don't understand. They don't understand shit. And so I don't get mad about this person. This person right here said it, and that's the thing. Somebody said I was flawed. Your understanding of both capitalism and economics is flawed. But he didn't insult me and said I'm pathetic and illiterate and shit like that and put it in capitalism. He didn't. He just told me why he disagreed. I didn't even respond. I'm like, I never said, that's what I said. Cronus guy is using government to gain an unfair advantage. This guy here went back and forth a couple of times. And I just went back and forth with him. I said, okay, man. So, I said, because he was saying that the crony capitalism is capitalism. It's not the essence. That's like saying medicine, like saying, I don't know, neurosurgery is medicine. No, neurosurgery is not medicine. Neurosurgery is a form of medicine, right? Like if you need a oncologist to deal with cancer, you don't go to a neurosurgeon because that is a different brand of, medicine that you're really not dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he is. He's equating capitalism and fascism. He's saying that one can't exist without the other. What's up, Nicole? So what I'm saying is you don't take capitalism and try to put it in the same category as fascism and say, well, you can't have one without the other unless your brain has been cooked by some white professor at a university, some liberal professor. Fascism cannot exist without capitalism. I'm like, oh my God. So that basically what he's saying is capitalism is evil. Capitalism is the problem. He said corporatism is a form of capitalism. Basically, corporatism is basically, and if I had to give you a basic, simple definition, is when businesses use political officials to get an unfair advantage in business. That's what they do. That's what it is, corporatism. Kind of like what you see with Facebook, Google, and Twitter, right? How they use the government. They have government, and I'll read the definition. Let me go right here. And I don't really like Wikipedia, but I think this is pretty straight. It says corporatism is a collectivist, and when it says collectivist is a value that is characterized by emphasis on cohesiveness among individuals and prioritization of the group over the self. Prioritization of the group over self, right? Individuals or groups subscribe to collectivist worldview tend to find common values and goals particularly salient and demonstrate greater orientation toward. And I'm not going to go all the way through, right? But right here it says basically it's a collectivist ideology. Corporatism is in which advocates the organization of the society by corporate groups such as agriculture, labor, military, business, scientific, or guild associations on the basis of their common interest. It says the term is derived from the Latin corpus or human body. The hypothesis that a society will reach a peak of harmonious function when each of the divisions efficiently perform its designated function, such as a body's organs. And let me basically, this shit is going on. That's all over the. I needed a straight definition, but usually when you let a white liberal come in, because a lot of the people that write on Wikipedia are liberal, so you got to kind of. I just want a straight out definition, real quick and easy. You know what I'm saying? Corporatism, Italian corporativismo, also called corporativism, is the theory and practice and organization of societies into corporations and subordinate to the state. He's probably for corporatism, to be honest with you, as I look at this. Looking at what he was saying is a form. He's probably, listening to how he's thinking, he probably believes corporatism is good. According to the corporatist theory, workers and employers would be organized into industrial and professional corporations serving as the organs of the political representation and controlling to a large extent the persons and activities within their jurisdiction. However, as the corporate state was put into effect in fascist Italy between World Wars I and II, it reflected the will of the country's dictator, Benito Mussolini, rather than the adjusted interests of the economic groups. See, the problem with a lot of these theories and shit that these motherfuckers agree with and have is that the shit has never worked in practice, because you got to understand the hearts of people and how they are. I think, just my personal opinion, any collectivist mindset in government that calls for everybody to just come together and work together is going to be flawed, and I'm going to tell you why. That's just my personal opinion. When everybody comes and tries to work together, the problem I find is that individuals that are in charge of administering this shit a lot of times are corrupt, right? Look at politicians, right? And so whenever you take individuals and put them in charge of shit, go and look at these nations. Go look at China. Go look at a lot of these nations where people are in charge, and it's unfairly distributed, right? Mao Zedong, what did he do? He took people out into the wilderness and starved them to death, because he didn't like their political ideology. He didn't like them for whatever reason, and it was ruled with an iron fist, right? We can look at Stalin. Anytime these people get in power, they take people's guns and they remove the idea of the individual. At its core, when you get into a lot of these ideologies, a lot of them at their core deny the divinity of the human spirit, in that it is a God-given spirit. See, this shit deep, man. At its core, what you're really saying is the individual has no value, right? And it's all about the collective and what is good for the collective. So if the collective decides, guys, let's let that shit is dangerous. It's very dangerous right now. We're living in some very trying times because basically majority rule, right? And if majority decides something, then fuck what you want, right? Now, didn't I do a video yesterday? I don't know if y'all saw that because I took it down, but there was a video I did yesterday where a small hat was talking and he was saying that, whatever that society decides, this is all their logic. This is why Marx gave us Friedrich Engels. This is their logic placed into government, right? And so you got to be smart. You have to be smart enough to identify this shit. I'm for individual freedom and liberty. I say individual for a reason, guys, because there was a time where the majority of the United States wanted black people to be slaves. Just let that sink in, right? This shit, so adopting these ideologies and believing these points, you gotta be wise, wise for that. Now, the reason I prefer a capitalistic system is because I believe I can do what's in my best interest. If I want to be a worker for a company or organization, if I don't want to be, I can make up my mind. If I want to double up and get 3 and 4 jobs, which is what I'm doing right now, that's what I'm gonna do. If I'm capable of being productive for 3 and 4 companies, then I can do that. I don't think we've been able to really, have shit really given to us in a fair perspective because we never hear both sides. All we ever hear is the capitalism is evil side in our communities. That's all we ever hear. And so whenever a white liberal comes across a black man like myself, they get angry and they insult me. But you can't call me a coon or a sellout. So you call me illiterate. You call me names. You call me stupid. You call me ignorant. And of course, usually when one comes on my channel, and like I said, when you hear this, oh, you insecure because you're from the South. I'm not insecure at all. I wouldn't have a channel. I wouldn't be up here talking shit, right? If I was scared. I'm not worried about, I don't think there's any cracks in what I'm saying. I'm confident in what I believe. But at the same time, I happen to know that people believe in, certain people believe certain things about the South. Certain people believe certain things about the way you may hear this Southern country Alabama accent that I cannot lose. If I listen to my shit, I'd be like, I'm so damn country. I listen to my shit, I'd be like, God dang, boy, I'm country as hell. Like, I can't get rid of that shit. It's just in me. Like, I can't, So, I think capitalism naturally keeps some people poor. Socialism naturally keeps everybody poor except for the ones at the top. Let me say this. I believe you're right. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why it keeps them poor. Because if some people had to make it on their own merit, they're going to forever be poor if you're lazy. If you're lazy, capitalism will keep you fucked up. If you are if you're a go-getter, right? If you're a hustler, what's up? If you're a hustler, you love capitalism because you mean to tell me, because see, exactly, some people are lazy. I knew that's where you was going with that. And that's the thing. Like, but even in that, I'm gonna tell you why I kind of disagree too. I think capitalism has provided the best lifestyle for even the poor, lazy motherfuckers on the planet. Like, nobody's really poor in this country. Like, if you really want to keep it a buck, like, take poor in America and compare poor. Take the person in the projects in New Orleans and take them and compare them to the person in the poorest countries in the world. And let's see what real poor is. Like, when I went to Africa, it changed my whole outlook on what poor really was. Like, I saw people dying, laying in the streets, dying. I never seen no shit like that. I got to Ethiopia, and this dude was just, I'm like, this dude got to be dying. I mean, he was just laying there. And I looked at him, he looked at me, and I don't know what he was dying from. He was sick, but he was just laying there, and you could tell he was fucked up. And everybody just walking by like when shit wrong. Look, we leave the airport in Addis Ababa, right? And I'm talking about, it's like shit everywhere, trash, dirt roads. I know people don't like to hear that shit. That's what it was. Now, Africa has its developed areas, but what I'm saying, where we wound up going, and this was still in the town area, it was in the city, right? I went to the market. I just saw 5-year-old, 4-year-old kids working all day, begging for money and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And so when I saw that, I was like, damn, this is poor. We went to this church, and we sat there, and they said, okay, how many of y'all have a car? About 3 people raised their damn hand. I was like, damn. How many of y'all got more than one? And I'm thinking, damn, at the time I had 2 cars. But my homeboy, we was the only ones in there that had more than 1 car. We had all types of shit. And so they sat there and they asked us, what's it like in America? And we told them, hey, we got air conditioning, we got this, we got that. Basic shit that you take for granted, right? $200-$300 shoes. I had on some Jordans. They was like, oh man, those are nice. Da, da, da. They was talking. I was like, damn, this every nigga in the hood got a pair of Jordans, damn near. And so I started thinking, I was like, damn, now this is real poor. When I was in Mexico one time, I saw real poor. Even in Puerto Rico, you'd be surprised at some real people struggling over there. Way different than being in America, right? Brazil, I saw real dirt poor people. And so when you come to America, you talk about the system of capitalism, what it has afforded is a person in the hood. It is nothing for a person in the hood to have This is why we know capitalism is the best system. You can look, the person in the hood could have 2-3 pairs of Jordans. A woman in the hood could have $1,000 purse. I'm talking about struggling. She barely making $30,000. She got $1,000 purse. She got 2-3 cars. I'm talking about this is regular in the projects, right? She got 2 cars. She got shit. Her kids got all the nicest shit on. You know, I mean, come on, man. Like as far as quality of life, if you were to get rid of America, if America had never happened, I don't know what would have happened. But what I'm saying is the quality of life that we have been afforded in this country is the highest ever recorded, ever. And so when people try to talk shit and say, in fact, America has influenced the whole entire world and made life better for a lot of people as far as innovation, the Silicon, Valley and all the shit that came through with tech and shit, basically changed the world. All of this was because what they did with capitalism, because when Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations, I think it was around 1776, and it was a revolutionary book. But what it basically called for was the move from mercantilism to a capitalistic system where individuals were allowed. It outlined all forms of government, but most forms of government. But what it did was it pushed for us to get into capitalism. They said that capitalism, if you allow the individual to chase after their own best interest, that serves the greater good for the community, for the society. That's what Ayn Rand talked about, right? She was like, look, and let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find one, because I saw an old one when she was talking. Let me see what she's saying right here.
Altruism is an ethical system which claims that man has no right to exist for his own sake.
See there? That's the opposite of what he's basically, I think that person's advocating for. A lot of these systems of government, the collectivism of it is basically saying, hey, it's about the collective. It's not about what you feel as an individual. Guys, we only make up 13% of the population. Like, you probably don't. If the collective of America says fuck Black America, which I don't see no problem in them saying that, they will do that one day, I think. Then because you support a certain style or system, that's what's going to happen.
That the sole justification of his existence is the service he renders to others, and that self-sacrifice is his basic virtue, value, and duty. Altruism regards man, in effect, as a sacrificial animal. The word is coined by...
Because your life has no value. That's what it basically, when you get into the collectivism, you get into Marxism, you get into these systems, you have no value. You're an animal. Because they believe in evolution, Charles Darwin, all this shit go together. All these small hats wrote this shit out, and this shit is powerful, some deep game that we got to learn how to decipher if we're going to be successful.
By Auguste Comte in the 19th century to mean specifically the placing of the interests of others above your own.
I wonder if you would discuss why to be altruistic and to be benevolent is not the same.
This is a package deal spread and fostered by the altruist. It is to their own interest to suggest to men that altruism merely means kindness or benevolence or respect for the rights of others, which it does not. In fact, most people, I would venture to say an overwhelming...
So when you talk about altruism, it's like saying, hey, man, it's for the greater good that you put this chemical in your body. And you say, well, what about my individual? Fuck your freedom, right? That's how that shit work. It is for the greater good. It's for the greater good. That's what Barack Obama always talked about. I hated when he said that shit. It's for the greater good. You need to pay your fair share. It's for the greater good. Bitch, you're going to take my money and go get that shit to the small hats over in Israel and all types of bullshit. Don't be lying to me talking about this shit for the greater good. You're lying ass. We need to build infrastructure. Right now, they talking about we need to build infrastructure. We need to build this. We need to build back better. Bitch, you going to rob that whole, all them trillions y'all going to put in y'all pocket. Y'all think I'm stupid. Come on, man.
Majority do believe that that is all that altruism means. So that in effect, if you give a dime to a beggar, you are an altruist. Nothing could be further from the truth, because altruism does not claim that you should help others when and if you can. It specifically claims that you should subordinate your own interest to the interest of others, and therefore others should take first place in your life as a moral duty.
That sound familiar? Think about what they selling you when they telling your ass why you should take the, you know what, right? This, man, all this shit go together like a puzzle. It really does.
In that case, kindness is impossible. If it is your duty to give away your last penny to anyone who might need it, you are giving him his due. In fact, altruists would say it is his right to demand your penny. Therefore,
it is my right to demand that you inject your body with these chemicals because it makes me safe and it is for the greater good.
An action of kindness or generosity or charity on your part. It is a moral duty. Altruism, in fact, makes benevolence among men impossible. Because if you have to regard all other men as mortgage holders on your life, if their claims have to supersede any interest of your own, then you can feel nothing but fear and hatred toward other men, since they are a threat to your own existence. And if you do not satisfy their claims, you have to take moral blame for it.
That was some deep shit. Let me go back. Say it again. Hold on. Let me go back. Watch this.
Other men as mortgage holders on your life. If their claims have to supersede any interest of your own, then you can feel nothing but fear and hatred toward other men.
See there? How do you feel when somebody tell your ass you got to put this shit in your child's body? Huh? That shit make you upset? That anger you're feeling?
If their claims have to supersede any interest of your own, then you can feel nothing but fear and hatred toward other men, since they are a threat to your own existence. And if you do not satisfy their claims, you have to take moral blame for it. That makes any kind of authentic benevolence among men impossible. It entails other contradictions. There is no reason why you should consider the benefit of others as a value if you do not consider your own benefit a value. Altruism demands that you regard everybody as a value except yourself. And remember that this applies to every human being. Therefore, according to an altruist, no human being has any right to any value nor to any happiness of his own. He only has the right and duty to serve others. Therefore, altruism does regard men as sacrificial animals, as object of sacrifice for others. That is not a theory of benevolence for men. There can be no benevolence for men unless one recognizes man's basic moral and political right to exist for his own sake, neither sacrificing himself to others nor others to himself, which is...
That's why I talk about individual freedom, individual choice to make the right decisions for themselves and their families has created America in the capitalistic system, the greatest economic engine of wealth that has ever existed that we know of in recorded history. Now, you can go back and say, well, oh no, in ancient Africa, now Valley culture this, now Valley culture that. I would make the case that probably in that monarch of a society, monarchy, that it probably was, or patriarchy, whichever way it was back then. But whichever way it was, matriarchy, patriarchy, because I said the wrong word. But whatever, when you had the kings and queens and all that shit, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say most of them people was just peasants and farm people. Most of them.
It's precisely what altruism denies.
Ms. Rand, why would anyone accept altruism under your definition?
Most people do not have a consistent moral theory to guide them, a theory which they understand, accept, and fully practice. But the reasons why they accept altruism are many. Men realize, so long as they have to make choices, they need some kind of code of moral values to guide their choices and the sort of values and goals that they will pursue. Yet they have not been offered any code of morality other than the altruistic one. Most people are afraid to be left on their own in moral issues. They are more afraid of it than in any other issue. Men are not afraid to be scientists and to stand alone in the face of nature, but they are terrified in issues of values, in having to stand alone and define what objectively is right or wrong for men. That, I would say, is the most general reason why men accept altruism or at least pay lip service to it.
One common variant of altruism is the belief that you should give only to those who are less better off than yourself, those who are in need.
Your remark is correct. That is what altruists hold, and the result of it is that it makes need, pain, failure, disaster the leading purpose and value in life. In other words, it amounts to the following situation, which you can see politically coming through today. If a man fails for any reason, his own fault or through accidents, gives him a mortgage on the lives, the earnings, the property, the services of those who have not failed. And
Woo! Boy, listen to that shit now. Go back. I love this shit here. Let's go back. Now check this. Watch this. This is some heavy shit right here. Watch this.
Those who are in need.
Your remark is correct. That is what altruists hold. And the result of it is that it makes need, pain, failure, disaster the leading purpose and value in life. In other words, it amounts to the following situation, which you can see politically coming through today. If a man fails for any reason, his own fault.
If you out there selling dope, you made stupid ass choices, your ass got 5 and 6 kids out of wedlock, right? You fucked up, you didn't get your schoolwork, you was lazy, you were on fentanyl, hint. You got drunk and fell asleep in the drive-thru and whooped the police ass, right? Took his taser and shot him. You can never be held responsible. But watch this shit.
Or through accidents, gives him a mortgage on the lives, the earnings, the property, the services of those who have not failed. And therefore, the result is a hierarchy of values of which the zero is the dominant standard. To the extent to which you lack any value at all, personal, spiritual, or material, you have a claim on your betters. To the extent,
see that he said you lack it because you have. She said you lack it because you have a claim on motherfuckers that are better than you, that have done better than you in life. You ain't got to do shit, and that's what cripples the black community. I'm a conservative for a reason, damn it. Let's go.
Your material, you have a claim on your betters. To the extent to which a man has achieved values, he is the sacrificial animal for any zero holder. A man who is a full altruist would have to find a cannibal village and offer himself as a meal, because that would be the only way in which he could make a total sacrifice for the sake of others, deriving nothing in return. A total altruist is in a contradiction every time he eats, because that morsel of food may be needed by someone else. Because the altruists get out of it by saying that you should reserve for yourself only the minimum necessary in order to go on serving others. But that in itself is a contradiction. What is that minimum necessary? And the main issue is, why should the needs of others have primacy over your own? This question has never been answered by any philosopher of ethics. The sole base of altruism has always been mystical. The issue of self-sacrifice to others has to be taken on faith, because no rational justification for it has ever been offered, nor can it ever be offered.
Is it fair to say that an altruist has to replace his own values by the values held by other people? And if this was followed generally, that there would be nobody able to hold a value of his own?
Yes, of course. Just as you must sacrifice your material possessions or your effort to others, you must also sacrifice your intellectual integrity. If you hold to your own ideas of what you believe is true, that is a selfish action. You must sacrifice your mind to what others believe or want to be.
See, a lot of times, guys, these people she's talking about, altruism and shit like that, that shit leads into certain forms of government, because we've already decided that Marxism is the best system, because this is this and this is that, and this is the best thing because it takes the needs of everybody and it deals with everybody. So the poor, the loser motherfucker that didn't do what the fuck he's supposed to do, at least he getting taken care of. In the Marxist system, he can get free food, he can get free shit. So you know what? Fuck what you want. Fuck you, bitch. You went out here and got your work. You weren't lazy. You did what? You didn't have kids. You were disciplined with your dick. Oh shit, you got a business. Oh shit, you a doctor. You a lawyer. You got shit. You and your wife raising your kid, and y'all invested in him, and y'all gonna, y'all set him up when he turned 30. He gonna have a trust fund and shit like that. He gonna have all this money, and man, fuck you, bitch. We gonna come take that. That's not fair. What about the bitch that had all the kids and was twerking and fucking and sucking, right? What about her? What about her kids? And if you say, no, fuck that, she made that choice. Shit, this for my child. That's selfish. That's selfish. You shouldn't be like that. And I'm gonna tell you how we've been fucked in the black community. Think about it this way. What do they say was a real? Whenever they tell you that somebody's a real whatever, what do they mean? They mean that I came up poor and my parents, we didn't have shit, and that makes me better than you. I grew up around people that whenever their parents were married, listen, when their parents were married, go look at the diss that Eminem did in 8 Mile. He said his parents have a very good marriage. He dissed him. Everybody looked at him. Look at how the crowd looked at him. Like, oh shit, nigga, you didn't come from a fucked up, dysfunctional situation. You should be ashamed of yourself. Like, that's what this shit, I'm like, that wasn't really a bad diss. Like, he really could have got his ass, but it was a movie. I was like, he really could have got him. Like, okay, he said he had a nice marriage. Like, you say you fucked up, you come from the trailer park, say something new. Like, bitch, yeah, I did come from a good family. What, I'm supposed to come from a fucked up, dysfunctional situation where I ain't never met my dad or some shit like that. In the black community, we believe that we take pride in making it with the least amount of shit. We think that means that you're better than somebody because you didn't have as much. I came from the streets. I came up without having anything. Even in my own mind, if I had to tell the gospel truth, guys, even within my own mind, I can catch myself saying some shit like that. Sometimes I say it. I'm just telling the truth. Even I got to get that shit out of me. It's still in me. I got to get it out of my mind. I got to be cooked and glazed some more. You know what I'm saying? Because mentally, I can see how I can say I can find pride in coming from the hood and having the lights cut off sometimes. We struggling with gas and shit. And I take pride in that shit. I do. I need to stop. There's nothing prideful. So what your parents, and I love my parents, but they made bad financial choices. My dad was financially very successful when they were married, but a lot of shit turned bad. I ain't gonna go into my family history. But financially, we just had a lot of struggles. But that's nothing to be proud of. I'm not better than the kid across town because his parents paid the bills on time and stayed married and raised him, and his dad made the right financial decisions, right? And so if I were to run into him or her who had the parents to do everything right, we've all heard that black person say, I didn't grow up with no silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. So because we shame people, there's a level of shame that we place on people whenever they've had things done right. Why not make it popular in our culture as African Americans to say, hey, I commend your father for making the right choices. That was a great thing he or she did, your parents did. And I wish my parents did the same thing. And there's nothing wrong. You should not be ashamed, right? You should not be ashamed that your father set you up. What I wouldn't give right now, if for my dad to have made that choice back in the 70s and say, you know what, this little boy gonna need something. Let me go ahead and set him up a little trust fund. And every time I got $100 or $50 a month, $100 a month, I'm just gonna drop it in this account, let it draw some interest for him. He can't touch it till he turned 40. Guys, that'd have been I'd have been a millionaire. Right? But what did I do? My dad didn't do that. God rest his soul. Not getting on to him. But what are you gonna do? But those people that have kids now, I don't care if they're 15, set some money aside. Drop something up, say, okay, I'm gonna have this put up. It's just gonna be a little something. And just do it. Hit me up. I got a guy you can reach out to. Same guy I reached out to. I'll give you his phone number. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I might put his number in the damn video. But the point I'm trying to make is, at the end of the day, You know, we drag people for making the right choices in life, and we drag people for trying to you know, do things that are right. You know, and I'm gonna get this guy phone number out because he let me put this up here. 324-3208. This guy right here. His name's Marty. That's his name. I'm gonna type his name in the chat. Hit him up. Hit him up. He'll get you set up. He worked with Primerica, but he know his stuff. You know what I'm saying? He got me in a damn good investment. I'm talking about this doing real good. I'm like, my son's investment. I'd be envious, like, damn, I wish my dad had did this for me. I'm talking about we were pulling like 16%, 17% some years. Like, it's a hell of a mutual fund that he'll put you in. But anyway, that being that I'm through with that. But the point I'm trying to make is this, man. We're cooked and glazed because what happens is a lot of these small hats have gotten into the fields of logic and reason and philosophy, and they came up with these ideas and they build on them. They evolve, basically. And so what they basically want to do is the same thing, the removal of the family, the removal of capitalism, the removal of individual. Because if you have an individual, that means you can think for yourself, which makes that whole video I did the other day so much sweeter to me, maybe not to y'all, but about the Frankfurt School, right? Because if you go to the Frankfurt School and you look at it, I'm gonna go to the first piece right here. The first piece, it says, in these days back when the Bolshevik Revolution almost reason institutions was as swiftly as possible undermine the traditional Judeo-Christian legacy. To do this, they call them the most destructive criticism possible to the spirit of life. Let me see if I can find, where is it? It's one of these pieces in here. I gotta find which one it is. I don't know which piece it is. I have to find it. I don't want to go all the way through it again. But anyway, when I read the article, the part where it talked about the belief in an individual's, they wanted to remove the idea that the individual in their thoughts and ideas could actually achieve anything. They wanted you to remove that. So the small hats, what they want to do is they want to get rid of the idea that you as an individual can make decisions that are what's best for your life. They want you in a destitute situation so that they can usher in their revolution. They want shit so fucked up, which is what they about to try to do with this economy right now, right? And it was all they're doing, all of it, even what's going on in China. They did it, right? And so what's happening is they want the world economy so fucked up and destitute that you will embrace their ideology. Hey, let's take the government, bring the government in to control something. They started with this damn Rona. They put that shit out, right? And now they got people. Look at what they're doing in Australia right now. I was just talking to one of my students about that. What they doing in Australia? They putting people in concentration camps. Practice, right? All of this shit was so that and if you read the very top of this, what did it say? In the days following the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, it was believed that the workers' revolution would sweep into Europe and eventually into the United States. But it did not do so. Towards the end of 1922, on Lenin's initiative, a meeting was organized at the Marx Engels Institute in Moscow to consider what were the reasons. Why didn't it spread? Why didn't the Bolshevik Revolution keep going? You know what I'm saying? And so right here, amongst those present were George Lukács, Willie Munzenberg, whose proposed solution was to organize the intellectuals and use them to make the Western civilization stink. Only then, after they have corrupted all its values and made its life impossible, can we impose dictatorship of the proletariat. What is the proletariat? The people, basically. Working class people, basically the same shit when I just said corporatism and fascism, I gave you the definitions. It was talking about corporates, corporate, basically the group of people trying to control certain forms of government, which eventually turns into a dictatorship, fascism, right? Says the foundation of the Frankfurt School, also known as the Institute of Social Research, not going to try to take a stab at that, right, was the result of the meeting, right? Let me keep going. It talks about this. Where is it? They were saying, okay, go to Columbia, Princeton, Brandeis, and UC Berkeley. Basically, the Frankfurt School believed that, here we go, right here. Here we go. Here we go. Now look at what you just heard Ayn Rand say. And watch what they said. The Frankfurt School believed that as long as an individual had the belief or even hope of belief that his divine gift of reason could solve problems facing society, then that society would never reach the state of hopelessness and alienation that they considered necessary to provoke socialist revolution. Right? And so when you look at it, man, that's what that whole shit, that's what a lot of this shit is about. So when this idiot came in my comment section, right, and was talking about trying to down capitalism, they were trying to down capitalism because they want this type of shit to be brought forth. And as long as capitalism thrives, as long as America thrives, guys, then as long as there are individuals, that's why they hated Trump, right? Because as long as America is strong, as long as you and I have an opportunity to make the best decisions to improve our lives and become wealthy, as long as there's always a chance that there could be another Donald Trump, somebody coming out of the wings that are able to come in to and economically is a nationalist that actually cares about America, that wants to push a certain pro-American agenda, as long as that exists, then we'll never be able to push and usher in a new world government. And they want the new world government, this great reset shit. They talked about it, and they knew Trump wasn't good for it because although being president, you know what I'm saying? Well, I don't believe in that whole shit about the destruction of the planet. If we're gonna have the green, that's what I'm saying. If we're gonna have all these the Green New Deal and all that shit, then let's first get China and India not to be allowed to produce as much, pollution. And then we cripple American capitalists and businesses and use the environment. Right now, the whole supply chain shit that is fucking up the economy is because people believe that the environment, you can't have trucks unless they're 4 years or less or newer, right? In California. So that's basically caused a backup because people believe this environment shit. I don't. That's what I'm talking about. If we really believe this shit, then let's go fuck with China first. They producing all types of nasty shit, right? Let's go do all these other nations that you're not putting these shackles on. They only want to put these shackles on America because it's a tool. You're not putting them on Russia, you're not putting them on China, you're not putting them on India, but you're telling America that they gotta follow this environmental shit. Until everybody adheres to it, I don't believe it. I only believe it when everybody comes to the table and they're serious about it. China doing whatever the fuck they want to do. You know what I'm saying? That's really what I believe. Now, I mean, with all due respect, I ain't calling you, I ain't insulting you. I'm just saying, with respect. But, guys, is this a bot? I'm gonna have to block him. Put him in. I'm gonna just block him. Fuck it. Sorry, Dana Cox, you got to go. You block him. Because I noticed when I first started this video, somebody came in there and put some little porn link in my damn chat. Because I said, what the fuck is this link? Now I go type it up. It's a damn porn site. Like, no, I ain't into that shit. Don't be putting that shit on my channel. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm sure, but there's not a consensus of saying, let's go into it for a second. So when you look at the environmental argument, brother Alfonso, the environmental argument only makes sense if we're really seriously trying to accomplish a solution to the argument. I'm not 100% saying fuck the environment, right? In the 70s, it was pretty bad, and the EPA came in and they did a lot of things to change a lot of that. But when you start hindering and shackling business and opportunity, and you use the environment as the case as to why you're doing that, I have a few interesting questions. Not only do I have them, but a lot of real scientists and professors and people that are in science question this stuff. When you start talking about global warming and stuff like that, now, do we need to have plastic waste in our oceans and shit? No, we clean that up. I have no problem with that. Clean it up. No problem with that. Synthetic fabrics and stuff like that, technology. Hey, I have no problem with it. If it's waste, we can find we should find interesting solutions into dealing with a lot of this stuff you're talking about. I have no problem with that. But what I don't believe in is shackling one country, the wealthiest, most powerful nation, and small hats coming in and using the idea that the environment is the problem as to shackle America like they doing with the supply chain shit, which is why when I went to the store, lady went to the store, we looking for shit and these damn shelves are empty, right? Because it's about crippling the economy and then using the environment for it, right? The governor of California was they cheated their ass off in California for that recall they was about to have, right? And so the governor of California just called this dumb shit and said, let me just block up the whole fucking country because a lot of shit come through the ports of California. And so a lot of shit is being blocked from coming in because of this dumb shit, this environment shit that they pushing. Right? Just like when we had the presidential election and they had the debate and Biden said, well, yeah, I'm gonna stop digging for oil. I'm gonna stop oil because of the environment. Right? And Trump said, you hear that? Why can't we do both? That the problem I have with environment people, I have no problem with the environment. But it's almost like this, they have this binary way of thinking. It's either 0 or 1. You either for the environment and fuck everybody, and you can't, and we gotta fuck the economy up to save the environment, or we just destroying the economy, just destroying the environment. Why can't we save the environment and dig and do all the other shit, fracking, all that, and then we wean off of it, if that's really what we want to do? That way we create jobs, we create a stronger economy, and it helps everybody. And we saw that with the energy independence that we hadn't had in like 70 years. We just had it. We gave it up, gave it to OPEC. You think OPEC has our best interest in hand? No. OPEC is all focused on making their money. The petrol, they're trying to make sure that they're set. The Saudis and shit. Trump's like, no, we're gonna get our own shit. We're gonna be energy independent. Can somebody explain to me how giving up energy independence is good for us as individuals in America? It's not. And it was even better for the world because at least we ain't taking their shit. They can build their own shit. We don't need yours. We got our own. Nope. Got rid of it. Crippling of America is the best thing that they see right now. They see it as a crippling of because they don't want more Donald Trumps. They don't want more people that think like that. That's really what this is about. We can't have people like that. They're not small hat. They don't think like us. But if they can get their hands on billions and millions and do certain things, they're able to get out here and do certain things. Could be replaced with him. Yeah, I look. It's a lot of shit you can do. I don't have no problem with it. I have no problem with what you're saying. I have no problem. You are correct. I'm just not for blocking up half the world. I'm not saying that the environment, fuck the environment. I don't think that way. I think we should take care of where we live. I just think that we should also do both. And if we're not going to go after China, then stop. Everybody needs to just stop worrying about the environment. Until we are literally going to bring China to the fold and make them be honest about what they're doing to the environment. China is terrible for the environment. Nobody's saying nothing. Everybody's scared of them. That's the problem. Don't nobody want to say nothing. Only the last person that even had the balls to say something to him, they got rid of him. They didn't like him. They called him racist, right? The guy that really had the balls to say, hey, you guys are hurting the environment. You guys are doing this. You guys are doing that. And it's not good. Donald Trump, first guy I ever seen stand up to them and tell China, hey, man, why y'all stealing our intellectual property? Y'all need to pay us for this. Y'all need to pay these farmers. And he did it. And they was actually sending money. And China had its worst year in 65 years economically because they leeching off everybody. And don't nobody say shit to them. Right? Everybody's scared of China. We know Biden ain't gonna do nothing because they gave his son $1 billion loan. You know damn well. He ain't gonna do nothing. He in with China. He got part ownership in Chinese companies and shit. So this man getting rich in China. Why the fuck would he stop China? Right? So we fucked. That's really what's going on. That's why I can't believe this man's approval rating is at 40%. I just can't believe it. Cannot believe it. Right? Paris Climate Accord and the Kyoto Agreement didn't include China and India, the biggest producers of exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for putting that shit in the words for me. But that's what I'm talking about. And if we're not going to do that, we're playing. We're playing now. If you're not going to bring the people that's pumping out the most shit in and make them clean up their shit, like let's go to China and look at the pollution in these Chinese. Y'all ever seen that shit? I'm talking about mountains of trash and diapers and shit just sitting up there. They showed that. I got to watch what I say. I got to strike for this, so I got to be careful. But I've seen that, when you go look at a documentary about the Untouchables, look at where they taking baths at and shit, how polluted that shit is, right? You know what I'm saying? Exactly. They're doing a lot of shit, man. And that's the thing. It's like, when you talk about the government, you talk about the world and the systems of government and shit like that. I see that the small hats are the most dangerous people because all this shit that these people are dying. You know how many people have died because of the Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels Communist Manifesto? You know how many people have died because they embraced those ideologies? Huh? You know how many people, probably in the last, I don't know how many 100 years, we're looking at hundreds of millions of people that have died because of these small hats. You can hang that. All those deaths can go back to Marx, Engels, Darwin, Friedrich, what's his name, Nietzsche, Sigmund Freud. Small hat after small hat after small hat after small hat. All the stuff that you think Hitler did, which he didn't. I don't think he did that many people. I don't think he killed the 6 million like this. I just don't. But you can hang a lot of that on to ideologies that are started by these people. That's just the bottom line.
True. Therefore, you must always agree with the majority in all issues because it is selfish to hold out for no better ground than the conclusion of your own mind. That, of course, is the basic evil of altruism. It does demand the sacrifice of your mind.
So, I would challenge anybody to, go and listen to Ayn Rand and just look at how she thinks and stuff like that. Now, I don't agree with everything she said, obviously, but Ayn Rand was on point with a lot of stuff, man. Let me go right here. This is probably a good one.
Who is John Galt? This is one of the most famous questions in modern literature. Even today, over 50 years after it was written, you'll hear people asking it. Why? Because it recalls the riveting suspense story, heroic characters, and powerful ideas portrayed in the best-selling novel Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Born in St. Petersburg, Russia on February 2nd, 1905, Rand became one of the most celebrated authors and philosophers of the 20th century. Her most famous novels, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, still sell hundreds of thousands of copies every year around the world. Rand lived through the early years of the Russian Revolution, saw her father's pharmacy business confiscated by the Bolsheviks, and experienced the horrors of communism firsthand. She longed to emigrate to America. In 1926, she did, and never looked back. To Rand, the United States meant freedom. She saw the founding fathers as heroes. They created a country based on individual rights.
See, and this is the thing. I understand the founding fathers were flawed, racist. A lot of them, most of them were racist. I think John Quincy Adams, he hated slavery, but outside of him, they was full of shit. But when it came to the principles of what they were talking about, I think it was an honorable thing as far as the principles. Now, the 3/5 was a clause put in basically to stop the South from enslaving us while having representatives for us to keep us in slavery. So that's what that really was about. But at the same time, pick your poison. I get it.
Man's right to his own life, to his own liberty, to the pursuit of his own happiness, she said, means that every individual has a right to exist for his own sake, neither sacrificing himself to others, nor sacrificing others to himself, nor to the government. the practical results of the American
Sacrificing others to yourself sounds like abortion too. Sounds like child sacrifice, right? Hell would it sound like to me.
system, Rand said, could be seen in the skyline of New York City. America's skyscrapers, she noted, were not built by public funds nor for a public purpose. They were built by the energy, initiative, and wealth of private individuals for personal profit. And instead of impoverishing the people, these skyscrapers, as they rose higher and higher, kept raising the people's standard of living. Rand advocated pure capitalism, which she described as a system in which the government acts only as a policeman that protects men's rights. No bailouts, no special favors for big business, no government intervention into the economy. When people are free to produce and trade, and when the government is limited to protecting rights, everyone benefits. Individuals thrive, societies prosper. How do we know this? Compare freer, more capitalist societies to less free, more statist ones. In Rand's day, America compared to the Soviet Union, West Germany to East Germany, more recently, South Korea to North Korea, Colombia to Venezuela. Such differences were painfully obvious to Rand. So were their causes. In Atlas Shrugged, she showed how easily a free society can collapse into a dictatorship. The heroine, Dagny Taggart, works tirelessly and brilliantly to save her family's railroad business, while ever increasing government interventions destroy businesses and crush the economy. Meanwhile, one by one, the top.
I mean, that's what you see right now with all this shit that Joe Biden's pushing for is crushing the economy. This shit they pushing with this environment shit in California is crushing the whole entire economy. It literally is.
Users across various industries mysteriously disappear. No one knows where they have gone. The only clue is a question they leave behind. Who is John Galt? As the economy crumbles, how do politicians, bureaucrats, and academics react? They blame the greedy businessman and decry the profit motive and free markets. Their solution? More government intervention, which of course only makes the problem worse. Sound familiar? Atlas Shrugged is a cautionary tale about pursuing equality over excellence, state control over free markets, but it's also about the power of the individual and the power.
You know, it's funny. Like, we always get in tail every time they talk about equality, they scream that shit to black folks. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear like these principles that she just outlined.
Atlas Shrugged is a cautionary tale about pursuing equality over excellence.
We talk about black excellence, but we talk about equality much more. We walk around with our fist in the air talking about the proletariat. We don't call it that. We call it power to the people. But that's the proletariat, right? And we talk about these things and instill these values all the time in our kids and we talk about that shit. Equality of outcome, right?
State control.
Talks about state control. Breaking Brown. They talk about that shit all the time.
Oh, over free markets.
Free markets don't work, right? Capitalism is failed. That's what we're being told, right?
But it's also about the power of the individual and the power of reason. The individual's reasoning mind, Rand argued, is his tool of knowledge.
Let me go back now. Y'all see what she just said about the individual's mind, right? So let me go back because I'm going to just go back because I just read that a second ago about what they said at the Frankfurt School and how the Frankfurt School was just saying that, well, the individual's mind is the problem. We want that broken. We want to break your spirit. That's really what they're talking about. They want to break your spirit. They want your spirit broken. They don't want you to believe, right? So here it is right here. Brandeis, right here it says, so right here it says, basically the Frankfurt School believed that as long as an individual had the belief or hope of belief that his divine gift of reason could solve the problems facing society, then that society would never reach the state of hopelessness. Oh, you did? Mm-hmm. You figured it out? Oh, okay. Should I check it out? You took it out of the shell. All right, hold on. All right. Hopelessness. I'm going to eat it. Okay, hold on. hopelessness, and alienation that they considered necessary to provoke socialist revolution, right? So this right here talks about the individual freedom, the spirit. What I'm basically preaching about is belief in your spirit and your God-given rights and talents, being able to create room. Like the Bible says, a man's gift maketh room for him. I'm preaching about that. That's what I talk about. So let me keep going. Oops. Go back. Where that?
His only means of understanding what is true or false, how the world works, what is good or bad for his life. This is the theme of Rand's work more broadly. In order to thrive, to achieve happiness, the individual must think for himself and live by the judgment of his own mind. To do this, people must be free, free to voluntarily exchange ideas, goods, and services for mutual benefit, free to speak their minds without fear. For this, she regarded capitalism not only as the best, but as the only moral social system. Capitalism does not tell man to suffer, but to pursue enjoyment and achievement, she argued. Capitalism does not preach passivity, humility, resignation, but independence, self confidence, self reliance. Above all, Rand emphasized capitalism does not permit anyone to expect or demand the unearned. Is this the system America lives under now? No, said Rand. She called capitalism the unknown ideal because it has never been fully implemented, even in America. Ayn Rand's ideas on capitalism, individualism, and reason have attracted millions of people to her novels, essays, and lectures, and still do. Who is John?
Ayn Rand was like, man, I just had a deep fried lobster tail. Delicious. Delicious. Anyway, the thing is, guys, like she talked about I don't think she called it anarcho-capitalism, but the belief that that the market would correct itself, and the belief that that you shouldn't have any damn near completely dissolve the government altogether. In certain instances, like in education, I think that would be great. I think if you dissolve the Department of Education, I mean, what is it, the NEA or whatever it is, just get rid of it. I think it hasn't really benefited us. If you get rid of public schools altogether, if you get rid of and you allow states to make decisions on how they want to move forward with their education, states can then pick and choose. Like really, I heard a guy explain this. He said states actually should be like, it's almost like a smorgasbord. You go through each state and the state picks what it wants. And you try stuff, and whichever one works, that's what you stick with. Right? You're kind of seeing it now with people leaving California and New York and coming to the South and coming to Texas and shit like that. But they're bringing their values, which is fucked up. Right? But that's what you see right now. Guys, I'm going to finish this damn lobster tail. Y'all have a good one. I see y'all. God bless.